Well, I want to move on and talk about constipation.
Okay.
Which is pretty self-explanatory. And a lot of people suffer from bowel problems,
Yes.
but don't discuss it or treat it because it's an uncomfortable topic to talk about. So when I think of constipation, I think of food just rotting in your stomach.
That is a very good description.
Okay.
Along with that is the number of times you have a bowel movement. So that's one of the questions on my questionnaire. First I ask, are you constipated or do you have diarrhea or both? And so they'll check. Most people will check that they are not constipated. Then I get specific and I ask, well, how many times do you have a bowel movement? The number one answer is usually 3 to 4 times a week. So that's normal in their eyes. So I'm not constipated because I have a bowel movement 3 to 4 times a week. In a naturopathic realm, that is constipation. You should have a bowel movement literally about 30 minutes after each meal.
Wait a minute. So if you eat 3 times a day,
Correct.
breakfast,
A meal.
lunch, and dinner,
Yes.
you're supposed to go.
Evacuate. Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yeah. And that, yes. So 3 to 4 times a week, once a day, is constipation. In America, because our food lacks fiber, our food lacks nutrients. So again, it sits in the intestines and it rots. And because we don't have enough of the fiber to actually get it moving, or we're dehydrated. So that affects the peristalsis movement as well. So as a naturopathic doctor, again, our concentration is on the gut. So I'm looking at, okay, if you're constipated, what are some of the causes? So we're looking at diet. Are you getting enough fiber? Are you getting enough water? If those things are doing well, are you exercising? Because exercising gets things moving. So those things are well. Okay, now we need to look at, okay, what's another cause? Because again, naturopathic doctors, we're investigators. We're trying to get to the cause of the problem. So there are many different causes. It could be eating a food that I'm sensitive to. Not allergic, but sensitive to. And every time I eat this food, it's actually creating inflammation in my intestines. It's creating mucus. It's creating all these problems, which in turn, the symptom is I cannot go to the bathroom regularly, or I have bloating, things of that nature. So we're looking at those foods. We're going to pull foods that most people are sensitive to out of your system out of your diet for a period of time. We're also going to make sure you have good bacteria. Gut bacteria is extremely important. The bacteria in our intestines have different roles. Actually, one of those roles is to make certain vitamins. And so if the ecosystem in the gut is not functioning properly, then constipation can occur and some other problems can occur as well. So many times people are on antibiotics. And so when you're on an antibiotic, and it could be from years ago, it could be months ago, that's going to change the ecosystem of the intestines. So the antibiotics, their goal is to kill bacteria. It doesn't have a system of, I'm just going to kill the bad and not the good. So it's going to kill the good and the bad. And if you never replenish with good bacteria, then you're going to be left depleted. So always making sure you have a good probiotic. Now, I know you've seen the commercials with you just eat some yogurt, and then that's going to replenish all your good bacteria. Some, minute.
Okay.
You still need a good, healthy probiotic on a regular basis. Okay. So making sure you have your probiotics there on board is very helpful. And so other things that we do is castor oil packs for constipation. They actually work very well. And usually when I say the word castor, people are like, oh, forget it. But it's not taking it inwardly. You're actually taking castor oil, you're putting it on a flannel cloth, you're putting that over your belly, and then putting a heating pad on top of that. That castor oil is going to actually seep into the intestines, help do some healing of the intestines, and then also help with some detoxification of the liver, and help with peristalsis movement. So those are some things that we do naturally to help with constipation.
Are there any herbs people can take, or
yeah,
what type?
One of the ones that most people use is like Cascara sagrada or senna,
Okay.
but they're like a natural laxative. And we can do that every now and then, but you don't want to rely on that. You don't want to rely on an herb for you to go. You want to create a healthy environment in the intestine. So when I eat, my body says, okay, I've broken it down, I've gotten the nutrients that I need, now it's time for me to go to the restroom. So you can, over time, train your body to do that.
Okay. Now, you did mention that, lack of fiber and lack of exercise. Is there any other things that makes the condition worse?
Dairy is huge. Yeah. Dairy creates a lot of mucus in the body. So anytime a person has like sinus problems or migraines all the time, first thing I'm going to do is I'm pulling out dairy. Constipation, I'm pulling out dairy. When you talked about the food rotting right there in the stomach, so dairy is going to create more mucus in the body. It's going to create more mucus right there in the intestine. So mucus is thick. All right, so you have the intestines, and let's say I just had burger, fries, beef. Yeah. So, and then I had a milkshake. So now your body is reacting. It's creating this mucus. So this mucus is going to actually cause that food to actually kind of adhere to the lining of the intestines. And so instead of it coming out, it's actually just going to sit there for quite a while. And so when you're working out, you begin to sweat, your body has to do something with this toxin that is really in your system. And so when you sweat, what's rotting in your stomach is going to come out through your pores. And so that's why we smell when we sweat. So the more your gut is working properly, when you sweat, it doesn't smell as bad.
Okay. Well, I do want to ask you, you may or may not have an opinion on this, but I was with a friend at the emergency room. Okay. And a gentleman came in and was talking to the medical professional in the hallway. I mean, I don't know what kind of HIPAA rules they were violating, but they had this whole conversation in the hallway, and he said he hadn't moved his bowels in like a week. Wow. And they took him in as an emergency situation before everyone else who was there for hours. Now, why would that be an emergent situation?
Well, if there's a bowel, it could be a bowel obstruction. Okay. So if there's a bowel obstruction, so if this is my bowel, and then there's an obstruction here, everything is trying to go, it stops here. Now that bowel is going to get, on this end, it's going to get larger, larger, larger. It could rupture. If it ruptures, then now you have that bowel in your bloodstream and you could die. It definitely could be a medical emergency.
Okay.
Yeah.